What metal, extracted in more than 300,000 tons per year, can be so discreet yet sustain the electronics you use daily? Tin doesn't often make the headlines, but it is at the heart of thousands of microscopic connections inside your mobile phone, your computer, and virtually any modern device. To obtain it, it's not enough to just extract rock. You need to locate cassiterite, move tons of ore, crush it, concentrate it with water, melt it at over 1,300 degrees Celsius, and refine it to reach an extreme level of purity. Tin is one of those metals that is rarely seen with the naked eye, yet is essential for sustaining much of the modern technology we use daily. To obtain it, it's not simply a matter of digging into the earth and melting it, as one might superficially think. Tin is mainly found in the form of tin oxide within an ore known as cassiterite, and this forces the development of a complex industrial chain where mining, ore concentration, and metallurgy must work with extraordinary precision to achieve commercially viable results. The entire process begins with the geological exploration of the deposit and the confirmation that cassiterite exists in sufficient quantities. Specialized technical teams traverse vast areas with mineral potential, carefully studying ancient rock formations, fractures in the land, granite intrusions, and all the areas where cassiterite tends to concentrate naturally over millions of years. During this initial phase, thorough soil and sediment sampling is done, complex geochemical analyses are carried out, and advanced geophysical methods are employed to locate the so-called subsurface signatures that indicate the presence of the mineral. When the found indications are strong and promising enough, the exploratory drilling stage follows. In this phase, rock cores are extracted and subsequently analyzed in specialized laboratories to accurately determine the mineral grade. The extraction of the ore can follow two main routes, which fundamentally depend on the type of deposit in which the cassiterite is found. This mineral can appear in alluvial deposits, which are sedimentary deposits, or in primary deposits where it is contained in hard rock, and this geological difference completely defines the method of material extraction. In the case of alluvial deposits, cassiterite has become concentrated in riverbeds, lakes, or ancient shorelines due to the continuous action of erosion over periods that may span thousands or even millions of years. In these types of deposits, the mineral presents itself as heavy grains mixed with common sand and gravel of various sizes. To extract it efficiently, large, high-capacity dredgers are used to suck sediments directly from the bottom, or hydraulic monitors are employed, which shoot powerful jets of water at high pressure to break up embankments and move the material towards specially designed channels for washing. The fundamental idea behind this method is quite simple but effective. Mobilize enormous volumes of sediment to then separate the heavy fraction where the sought-after cassiterite is mixed and can be recovered. When tin is found in primary deposits, that is, trapped in hard rock, the mining operation resembles traditional mining carried out for other metals. In these cases, the rock is systematically drilled, carefully controlled blasts are made to fragment the material, and then the extracted ore is loaded using specialized heavy machinery. The obtained material is transported to the surface by large mining trucks or conveyor systems, and from there the ore goes directly to the processing plant. This extraction route is considerably more expensive from an economic standpoint, requires much more developed infrastructure, and demands extremely strict safety controls to protect workers and the environment. Regardless of the origin of the ore, whether alluvial or hard rock, the extracted material must enter the processing plant where it undergoes a size reduction process. First, the ore goes through a primary crushing stage, where large jaw or gyratory crushers break the larger blocks into significantly more manageable fragments. Then comes the secondary crushing, which further reduces the material's size, and finally, the actual grinding takes place. In the grinding stage, the material is carefully mixed with water and processed in cylindrical mills containing steel balls or rods until a pulp of extremely fine particles is generated. This step is absolutely essential because the cassiterite must be physically separated from the surrounding barren rock that traps it. The better the mineral is liberated from its rock matrix, the more efficient the concentration process will be that follows, and the better the final recovery yields of the metal will be. The next phase is the concentration of the ore, where the goal is to separate the valuable cassiterite particles from the rest of the worthless material. Cassiterite stands out due to an absolutely key physical characteristic for its processing. It is an extraordinarily dense mineral, with a specific gravity much higher than that of the minerals it typically accompanies. For this reason, much of the benefit of the ore fundamentally relies on gravimetric methods that take advantage of this density difference. The mineral pulp then passes through various specialized equipment that intelligently exploits the density difference between the cassiterite and the considerably lighter minerals accompanying it. Systems like jigs, also known as jigging devices, which are hydraulic pulsation machines, as well as inclined vibrating concentrating tables or specially designed spiral separators, are used. With water in constant controlled motion, the heavy cassiterite particles settle and move in a completely different way than the lighter particles, allowing the cassiterite-rich concentrate to be effectively separated from the barren material that must be discarded. In certain cases where the ore is particularly complex, or when cassiterite is closely associated with metallic sulfides or other mineral components that are difficult to separate, an additional flotation stage is added. In this process, carefully selected chemical reagents are introduced to modify the surface properties of the mineral particles and allow some of them to selectively attach to small air bubbles that rise as foam to the surface of the flotation cells. Flotation is not always essential in every case, but it can significantly help to increase the final purity of the concentrate or to separate unwanted minerals that could interfere with later stages. Once this concentration phase is completely finished, a concentrate is obtained that can easily exceed 50% cassiterite content, which is enough to justify moving on to the metallurgical operations of smelting. Cassiterite is fundamentally tin oxide, so the central metallurgical challenge is to chemically remove the oxygen to release pure metallic tin. To achieve this efficiently, the concentrate is carefully mixed with mineral coal or coke, which acts as a reducing agent capable of capturing the oxygen, and special fluxes are also added to greatly facilitate the separation of impurities and help form liquid slags that can be easily removed. This prepared mixture is continuously or batch-fed into furnaces specially designed to operate at extremely high temperatures and maintain a controlled atmosphere suitable for the chemical reduction reaction to occur efficiently and completely. Inside the smelting furnace, the prepared charge is heated to temperatures around 1,300 degrees Celsius or even higher. At such high temperatures, the carbon present in the coke chemically reacts with the oxygen from the tin oxide and literally captures it, thus releasing the tin in its liquid metallic form. The molten tin, due to its characteristic high density, naturally tends to accumulate at the bottom of the furnace, forming a metal bath, while the impurities in the ore combine with the added fluxes and form a less dense liquid slag that floats on top of the metal and can be separated by simple layer differences. The metal obtained in this first metallurgical stage is usually referred to as crude tin or first-stage tin because it still may carry significant traces of other metals such as iron, copper, lead, or arsenic, as well as various contaminants that need to be removed. To meet industrial standards, and particularly for applications in the electronics industry where extreme purity levels are required, tin must undergo an additional refining process that can cleverly combine thermal and electrochemical methods depending on the desired final purity grade. In thermal refining, the metal is reheated under very carefully controlled atmospheric conditions so that certain specific impurities float to the surface, are selectively oxidized, or are separated by density difference from the pure tin. When the highest possible purity level is sought, particularly for critical electronic applications, electrolytic refining is employed, which is considerably more expensive but extraordinarily effective. In this electrochemical process, impure tin is placed as the anode in an electrolytic cell, and under the application of a carefully controlled electric current, the tin dissolves from the anode and is selectively deposited onto the cathode with much greater purity, while many of the metallic impurities are trapped as anode sludge at the bottom of the cell or remain dissolved in the electrolyte solution without depositing. Once the tin has been fully refined and reached the specified purity, the metal is remelted under controlled conditions and carefully poured into molds designed to produce standard ingots, blocks of various sizes, or specific shapes tailored to the particular needs of the industry that will consume it. In parallel to this physical shaping process, rigorous quality controls are performed, including detailed chemical analysis through spectroscopy or other advanced analytical methods. thorough verification of the achieved purity grade, complete traceability systems by production batch, and various physical and chemical tests, depending on the final destination of the product being manufactured. The fully finished and certified metal is then distributed to specialized manufacturers of electronic solder, producers of protective coatings, and multiple industries that use it as an essential raw material. The entire process can be summarized as an integrated chain that begins with detailed geological exploration, continues with the extraction of the ore through either alluvial or hard rock methods as applicable, proceeds with crushing and grinding to release the valuable mineral, advances with concentration using gravimetric techniques and possibly flotation, moves on to preparing the charge by mixing the concentrate with coal and fluxes, passes through smelting at temperatures near 1,300 degrees Celsius, where the chemical reduction of the oxide occurs, undergoes thermal and possibly electrolytic refining to achieve the required purity, and finally concludes with casting into molds, exhaustive quality controls, and shipment to industrial customers.